Welcome back. All right, so I had myself a bit of a day today. So I did the news of the day video this morning. I also did a history video this morning for the Hockey Guy page or channel, and I then went with my family to Camp Hope. So it's a summer camp run by the Seventh Day Adventist Church, not too far outside of Hope, and that is where I worked for a couple of summers as a camp counselor. I went there as a camper for a while as well before that. Definitely not after that. But as an adult, I just haven't been up there in so long. And so I've been feeling kind of nostalgic because that's what happens when you get older. And thinking about just how much everything has changed. Everything, everywhere, just I know it's an old man trope, but there's a reason it's a trope because that's how it is. You go somewhere to like show people things and you're like, and that's not how that looked. I don't what I brought you to what I wanted to show you is no longer here. So this is awkward. But that nostalgia just went right through the roof for me today. Just being there, it really hasn't changed. And the big difference, and again, it may just be because I'm older, but it didn't feel like there was as many youth as there used to be. Like when I was there, we used to play soccer every afternoon for like 3 hours. 3 hours seemed to be the minimum. You'd start around 1, you'd play till about 4. And this was in 32-degree heat. There were a couple of taps nearby that you'd kind of just put your head underneath to cool yourself down a bit, and then you go out and play some more soccer. And it was like some of the most fun I ever had. Of course, I ended up red as a beet because there was no sunscreen in the 80s that I used. So it just, being out there and seeing how, I mean, there's parts that have changed, but in general, it's still really, really nice. And, I don't miss being religious. It's one thing I don't miss being religious, but I do kind of miss that sense of community. That is one thing that I enjoyed about church. So I don't miss a lot of the church things that people do, but I do miss potlucks. I do miss going to that kind of thing. So I just felt like I needed that kind of reset. Like I've been doing a lot of videos and stuff, and Yvonne's wanted us to go out and do something, and I thought, well, I can go out to camp. I haven't been to Camp Hope in it's got to be 25 years. It has to be. I don't think I ever went there with my ex. We were together 15 years. I know I haven't been there with Yvonne. I've been with her for almost 8. So it kind of has to be 25 years. And so going out there, I had expected major changes. I was kind of bracing myself for that because, again, in Chilliwack, there's been a lot of change over those same amount of years, but it was remarkably the same. And so kudos to the people that are running the camp, that are, maintaining it, because there are people who stay there 12 months of the year to make sure it's in, good shape and things don't fall apart when you hit rainy season. I know that for the people who are in charge of the maintenance of that camp, it can be a nightmare at times. It's a lot. It's a big campground. There's a lot of people there. We also had a chance to go to the ABC store, which was kind of just a throwback for me because again I wouldn't have been in that store in 25 years, so it was interesting going in there. Yeah, it was something. That nostalgia gland, and the nostalgia, I also I wanted to put that in. So I wore the Blue Jays jersey and the Canucks hat. I got one compliment on the jersey. I didn't have anybody say, "Oh, you're the guy from YouTube." So, which I didn't expect. When you're around people who are church people, and a majority of them are older, and I expect them to be on YouTube. So, what I've got in my hands here are these are posters that were available in packs of cards, packs of O-Pee-Chee cards. And when I was a kid, I wanted to collect the whole set. I never did. I was more of an Expos fan than a Blue Jays fan, so these would be folded in 4. You see, you fold it in half, so you'd open the packets like this. You have no idea which poster you're getting. Again, it was 1 per pack. What's interesting to me, too, is at the time that I was collecting cards in the early 90s, I was told the O-Pee-Chee baseball cards, worthless. I was told they were like, just throw them out. Throw them out. Nobody wants them. According to the prices I saw on eBay, They're not worthless. So I kind of wish I'd kept some of them. I didn't though. I don't remember what I did with them. So going through here, and I'll just go through some of the players here that I liked. There's Chris Spire for the Montreal Expos. I did like him, and I was more of an Expos fan than Blue Jays fan. Larry Parrish, even though he looks kind of confused there. I don't know that he's trying to look confused. I think it's because he's looking directly into the sun. He's probably like, "Can I look the other way?" Nope, nope. We have to have the sun at our back, but I can't see. Oh, Warren Cromartie. Warren Cromartie was a very good player for the Expos. The Hawk, Andre Dawson, Hall of Famer. Did he get in the Hall? If he didn't, I'm going to go down and start beating people up because the Hawk belongs in there. Ellis Valentine. My dad and I, our favorite player was Gary Carter. So we were both big fans of Gary Carter. Steve Rogers, not Captain America, the pitcher version. He was he was the ace for the Montreal Expos in the early 80s. Very good pitcher. Woody Fryman, Jerry White, and Scott Sanderson. He was a pretty good pitcher too. The Expos generally were a pretty good team through most of the 80s, as I remember it. Okay, for the Blue Jays, you got John Mayberry's the first one they got here. Damaso Garcia, I remember him. Alfredo Griffin. Garth Eorg. Elvis Woods. Rick Bassetti. Barry Bonnell. No, that was a different one. I was just thinking about which one was the two-sport athlete in the early 80s, but no. Ernie Witt. So Ernie Witt ended up, of course, on TV, on Sportsnet, doing a lot of their broadcasts. Jim Clancy, Otto Velez, Lloyd Mosby. I like Lloyd. And then that's... Okay, those are the 1981 edition, which I had most of. The 82 edition, I didn't have very many at all. So this one, John Mayberry, Damaso Garcia, Ernie Witt. So these are in-action photos, which I think are way better. I've always thought posed photos are just weird. I think you should just show them in action. Dave Stieb. Oh, I love Dave Stieb. Dave Stieb had, I want to say it was a no-hitter going, and then they brought in Jim Acker. I think it was a shutout, and they brought in Jim Acker, and my dad's rage that day was something. I thought it was so funny. Acker blew it. But he blew the save, but then the Jays won, so he got the win. It was just so perfect. My dad was so angry. Louis Leal, Aurelio Rodriguez, Otto Velez, Juan Berenger. It's interesting, too, because, of course, this is from the early 80s, so a lot of these players end up having kids in baseball who've now moved on and now grandkids and yada yada. Warren Cromartie again, Rodney Scott, and again, the pictures just look much better when they're in action to me. Larry Parrish again. This time he is not facing the sun. He does not look confused, and he's shaved. There's Gary Carter again. Gary Carter was just a great guy. Tim Raines. Oh, I love Tim Raines. Tim Raines, fantastic. He's in the Hall, isn't he? There's a lot of former Expos. I'm like, you better put that guy in the Hall. There's the Hawk, Andre Dawson again. And Terry Francona. Like, this is like 7 years before the steroids stuff got really ridiculous in baseball. That's how baseball players looked before we got into the steroid era of baseball. Man. Oh, Steve Rogers looking into the sun. So, Bill Gullickson, I remember him. Good pitcher. Scott Sanderson again. That's a post shot. Jeff Reardon, excellent reliever. He was a closer. And again, Jerry White. So, yeah, Montreal Expos, Toronto Blue Jays. Obviously, because O-Pee-Chee is a Canadian company, that's all they were. I got a set of cards, too. More recent set of baseball cards that I'm going to go through and talk about for all you fine people on the internet. But I found that the nostalgia has been really, really strong with me lately. And, yeah, being at that campground, it just brought back so many memories. And it's interesting because, being there now, it does feel like kind of a different place. And again, for people my age, you might understand what I'm talking about, where you're in a place you've been before and it looks familiar, and yet it feels completely different. Like I didn't recognize anybody up there. I didn't see anybody recognize me. Again, it's been a long time since I was up there, um, but it was enjoyable, and I think honestly it was good for me. I needed to take a day where, and again, I need to make sure that I get all the videos done that I need to get done, but I also need to make sure that I'm taking care of my own mental health a little bit, and it does feel like that was important. They had a sermon going on while we were up there, at least at the end, and it was an interesting one, talking about dementia, which I honestly I appreciated. And again, I'm not religious at this stage of my life, but I could appreciate a lot of the things that he was saying up there, and I also could appreciate that the people listening were generally 60 years of age and older. There were some that were younger, but not very many. But he was talking about this 100-year-old woman and how she would just casually bring up fornicating. And he actually said the word sex. I was like, wow, he said that. But he did, and he talked about people just talk about it no matter what age they are, and it's something that it's always a part of who you are, and it's always on your mind. And I thought, I don't normally hear that from religious people, and it's something that I've thought about myself, because when you watch movies and TV shows, and if you're a big partaker of music, as people get older, it's like it's portrayed that part of yourself is gone, that you don't do that anymore, which is just patently false. And yet if a character on a TV show or a movie is, again, my age or older, and they're portrayed as enjoying the old fooling around bit, then they're portrayed as strange or promiscuous or going through some kind of midlife crisis. Like it almost never seems to be portrayed as normal. It's just portrayed as weird and strange, which I think is kind of weird and strange now that I'm getting into that age range where I'm like, actually, no. Because the way I think of it is, you're still interested in the same things as you get older. I remember explaining that to my kid at one point and saying, one of the cruelest tricks that the world and life has is that you get older, but what you're interested in, and your your personality doesn't necessarily change. But you understand, as you get older, certain things that you might have said in your 20s that were fine, you can't say those now that you're in your 40s. Definitely, as a YouTuber, I have very quickly picked up on that, and just I mean, the way that I talk's different now than it would have been 20 years ago as well. But yeah, it's definitely, I think, one of the cruelest things is when the body ages, and yet the mind, it feels to me anyways like my mind's the same as it was 20 years ago. I don't know if that I'm as sharp as it was 20 years ago, but I know I'm not as ornery, not as temperamental as I was 20 years ago. Like I kind of feel bad for how my behavior sometimes was 20 years ago. Heck, even 10 years ago, to be honest. But part of that is, I think, the fact that I have been a YouTuber for a while now, so I see things different than I did when I was in that grind of Monday to Friday, from 4 in the morning till 1 in the afternoon was usually my shift. And so might have been part of the reason I was so ornery all the time. I was way overtired, like really overtired. And I realized that as soon as I was no longer in that job, that I was only getting 4.5 to 5 hours sleep a night, and it was not enough. I was running on fumes all the time, and did it for years. I never missed work. I never took any time off. But yeah, I learned. And like, I would get my 2 weeks off for vacation sometimes. Sometimes we couldn't afford it. Sometimes I had to cash out my holiday pay, which was frustrating. It's frustrating when you get your holiday pay set. You're like, okay, I'm going to take a week off, and you realize I need to cash out that holiday pay because we got bills to pay, so I'm gonna have to cancel that week off. That's why I don't make any apologies. In part for like when we're taking a vacation, second week of August. because I couldn't take vacations. I never took a vacation for years, many, many years. Until I met Yvonne, a vacation, that wasn't a thing. I never had a vacation. The closest I would get would have been going to see Rammstein in Edmonton, which was like 2 days. I think we spent as much time on the bus as we spent in Edmonton. At least it feels that way because it was about 20 hours on the bus up and about 20 hours on the bus on the way back. That was fun. Anyways, and I couldn't sleep on the bus ride up or the bus ride back. I was terrified the whole time. So that was fun. Some of those mountain roads are kind of scary, especially when the bus driver decides, I'm just going to pass on a blind curve on a mountain. I know the odds of us running into a truck are very, very low, but they're not zero. So why are we passing on the mountain instead of waiting until that corner is not in the way, and then you can see whether or not we might be plunging to a fiery death after colliding head on with an 18 wheeler. But yeah, let's pass now. So yeah, and when you're on the highway going up north and it's the middle of the night and you see those headlights of a truck coming, it looks like it's in your lane. It look because the highway is very narrow. I couldn't sleep with that going on. That wasn't a thing. So that's the kind of nostalgia kicking around in my brain today. I guess we could almost call this like one of my life story videos, which I stopped doing because, the view counts were dropping down and it felt like I was entering into kind of a time of my life that is a bit sensitive, and I don't really want to talk negatively about certain people that were in my life at certain times. So I want to keep it like light for the most part and relatable as well, but yeah, that's where I kind of tripped. So that's why I've stopped that series. I may go back and then just talk like stories from parts of my life and not go in chronological order. But yeah, so there might be a video or two like that coming up. But I wanted to get in touch with where I was, who I was back in the late 80s, early 90s before we go down to California. And also because it feels like with social media, and this is Facebook, this is on Twitter, this is on various different and just media in general. There's so much focus on, hey, look who died today, and it just sometimes it's a bit much. And lately, it's felt like it's a bit much, and it's not that. It's not that I'm rolling my eyes going, well, I don't want to hear that. It's just it can just be a lot at times, especially on social media, where it's like you get 3 or 4 different celebrities, and then it's somebody you watch growing up playing sports, and then and then you find out a friend of yours and some other person and a relative of somebody that and suddenly you're up to like, wow, this is a lot of people that I've watched go. Like, and that's not fun. And I mean these are people that, I may not personally know in some cases, but it's like, man, that sucks. And all those, great voices silenced. And so it can get to be a lot, because then in the back of your mind you start thinking, man, so how much time do I have left then? And then it just starts messing with your head. So I kind of felt like I needed that reset. I feel like I got that today. I didn't reach out to anybody that I knew from the camp, and I have people on my Facebook that I could have talked to and said, hey, are you at Camp Hope? Do you want to, meet up for like lunch, or we can, meet at a spot? And it's that kind of thing. But I thought, no, this is more of a personal journey, and it's sort of me dipping my toe in the water there, and maybe I'll go up next year. I could see myself staying for a weekend. They do have the option of a campsite for a weekend or for a week. You can rent them daily as well. I'm thinking I could do a weekend. Maybe the first weekend of camp meeting I could do, and just, have that 48 hours of just relaxing. And just, I can go on little hikes. I went on a hike today and it felt great. I really enjoyed the hike. So yeah, it was nice to get out and do that and clear my head, and now I can go on my vacation on the 9th, and I can feel like I'm refreshed, and I've got myself refueled. Because one thing for me, I can get so caught up in doing the video things every single day and pre-planning and everything. In fact, I'll give you guys a bit of a look here, because I know that there's a large crossover between the hockey channel and the main channel. This is what I'm planning on doing for the previews, is the big board. And so I'm going to start with the Sharks, and I'm starting with like a 10-year look at their top scorers and top goalies and everything. And then I'm going to tape and fill out the rest of the board. But I'm making sure that, you know, I got room and I'm going to be able to do all 32 teams the same way. So before I get into those, I figured, you know, I wanted to do some kind of reset. Hey, Bun Bun. Did you want to come over and say hi? What do you mean no? Hey, Chris. Did you want? Come here. Come here. No. All right, fine. Fine then. How about you, Cinnabon? Did you want to come over and say hi? Hey, Bun Bun. There you go. Licorice has no problem running away from me. She generally won't. You generally don't, do you? So, again, they were alone down here for about 3 hours that we were out, 4 hours that we were out. Cats don't bother them, not a scratch on anybody. Rabbits aren't hiding when we come home. Cats and the rabbits get along quite well. It's the cats and the cats that don't get along. And sometimes it's the rabbits and the rabbits that don't get along. But the cats and the rabbits get along fine with one another. Hi, Bon. No, I don't have anything for you right now. I just wanted to pick you up and show you to the camera. Hi. Now she's doing little laps around my feet. You do another lap? Okay. Anyways, I thought it would behoove me to do a video like this after, you know, going on a little bit of a journey, having a chance to get in touch with where my mind was and who I was way back when in my youth. And yeah, I think that, you know, that sense of community is important, and so I'll see what I can do to have that. I think that's part of the reason why I enjoy having the street hockey meetups and I keep them nice and casual, is because it gives me that feeling of community, and it's nice to be around people and have a little bit of fun. I'm so disappointed they don't play the soccer, because if they did, I would have been there during the soccer. In fact, I might have timed it thinking, you know, if there's a bunch of youth out there playing soccer, I at least have to play goal. And there was nobody had a soccer ball that I saw. There was one kid playing basketball by himself up at the youth area. One kid? Like, where's all the youth is the question I have with that church. Like, that area was full during the day. The field was full during the day. It feels like there were a lot of little kids there and young kids. There were nowhere near the amount of youth that were there, at least for me personally looking at it. And again, it's a Wednesday, but it just felt like there's not nearly as many youth as there was, you know, 25 years ago. But you know, everything's changed, right? Everything's changed. I understand things have changed, but I'm going to go. I'm going to do some other probably hockey video stuff. We're doing a live stream on the hockey channel. I set that for 6 o'clock. I should probably tell my wife when I set that for. She probably wants to know when we're going to be doing that. Anyways, thank you guys so much for all your support. It means a lot. I had considered doing a video while I was up there too, and I thought, no, this is a very personal journey, and you know, it's important to me to have this personal journey, and I don't really need to make a video of it. At some point in time, I will go up there and do a video of it, and I'll, you know, show like little areas I used to go to and give you guys like stories from when I was up there. But it didn't feel like today was that day, because I had to get in touch with that part of myself. And again, the memories that flood in it's a lot, and I'm still kind of, you know, compartmentalizing those, and at some point in time there'll be a video on this channel in regards to that. But thank you guys for all your support. It means a lot. If you haven't hit like and subscribe, please do. And if you're, you know, finding your way to this video from the hockey channel, welcome. This is where I discuss everything else, all of it, everything. Thank you guys so much for all your support. It means a lot. I will talk to you again soon.